Hello everybody, if there's anybody here listening to me, let me just make sure my volume is up so that you can actually hear me, which would always be handy. Okay, so, I'm not very good with technology, so I'm always like, oh, is this right? So I hope you can see me okay. So what I'm trying to do is perhaps get my video up on my computer so I can read the messages while they're coming up. So I just wanted to say thanks to everybody who looked at my little mini video while I was getting some fresh air this morning. I think I looked about 60 years old and I feel like the wreck of the Hesp today. So I've just been really tired because we've had building work going on and I've been trying to work around it. Hi Alexandra. And it's just been, hi Nicola, it's just been mad in my house over the last few weeks. So I have been promising that I'd come on and do a video about something in particular. So here I am. I just don't know why I can't see the video on my my own screen, because it would be handy if I could see the comments larger, because I'm not wearing any glasses this evening, which I should be. Okay, they're having trouble playing this video. Okay, so loads of people checking in. So thanks everybody. I mean, it really is lovely to see that there are so many people that are interested in talking about mediumship and spirits and all the rest of it. And I just wanted to say that I've had so many messages and emails today, and I just haven't got a chance to get through them. And I just want to say to people, you know, I mean, I try my best, but a lot of what I can tell you, it's based on my experience and, you know, some part my opinion too. And, you know, you will come across mediums that, you know, our opinions will differ on different things. So there's nothing gospel about anything, but I can only say, you know, what I've experienced, and I don't mind telling people that I'm going to be 42 in a few weeks. So that's 42 years of connecting with spirit, because it's something that I've been doing since even before I can remember. Okay, my mother tells me about some experiences that I had and things that I would have said when I was a baby. So I'm just put my phone onto silent just in case. Yeah, some things that I would have talked about and people that I would have talked about and said to her, you know, that they were there. So yeah, so it really is a matter of different experiences. But I have very strong feelings on the topic of evil spirits, okay? And I know from some of the messages that I did manage to read today, and others that I haven't got time to read. Thank you, Tony Ann. My birthday is actually the 30th of this month. I'm a Gemini, and my son is the 31st. So I actually haven't had a birthday celebration since he was born, because as you can imagine, anybody who's a parent knows that your birthday gets shoved to the side when you're a parent, because it's all about the kids then, isn't it? And especially when they were born the day after your birthday. It doesn't matter that you spent your birthday in labour, but, you know, it still is their birthday, isn't it? Okay, anything knocking at night? Okay, hi Gillian. We'll get to the questions in the comments in a few minutes. I want to tell people my opinion and my experience on evil spirits. And it seems to me that a lot of people really believe in the fact that spirits are evil, or that some of them can be. And I know there's people tuning in from everywhere. We had a program that was very popular over in this part of the world for a good few years. It was called Most Haunted, and I do know that even stateside there are similar ones, paranormal investigations, all this kind of things. And you know what, I love watching them. I absolutely love watching. Oh, Jackie, I'm sorry, I do see some comments as they're coming up, and Jackie's just commented that her and her husband have the same birthday. Okay, yeah, so that's pretty much like having a child on your birthday. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the evil spirits thing. Okay, so the paranormal programs, I love watching them, and I was the one when Most Haunted was on, because Most Haunted would be on the TV, and then you could watch live from all these different cameras set up around the building, you know, and see if you could see anything. And I love it, because do I believe that spirits are walking around among us? Absolutely. I know it for a fact. Do I believe that they're evil? I don't. Okay, I don't believe that there's any such thing as an evil spirit. Okay? Okay, so take life for what it is. We are a soul, and we come to earth in a human body. Okay, so how I treat this human body, okay, when I'm here, whatever happens to it. So say for example, I'm overweight, okay, Do you imagine that if I die tomorrow that I'm going to be overweight in the spirit world? I bloody hope not, okay, because I'm sick of dying. But if I had a leg chopped off, okay, God forbid, or I lost an arm, okay, would you imagine that I would hop around the spirit world once I passed over? Okay, absolutely not, because our spirit is in here, but this is a physical body, okay, and we don't take the imperfections of a physical body into the spirit world with us, okay? So the imperfections of a body need not just be physical, they are also mental, okay? So my fundamental belief is that every spirit is good, okay? Whether it's me or you or Hitler or Ted Bundy or anybody else you can think of, the Boston Strangler, Son of Sam, anybody famous that has been evil, Columbine shooters, you know, fundamentally they left the spirit world to come to earth, and they were good spirits, okay, and they still are, okay? I know, and I'm not belittling anybody that has been through a Holocaust or a shooting or anything like this, okay? It's horrendous, and yes, that person went through and did those things when they were here, but that's a physical defect. It's a defect of the mind. The spirit, the soul that's inside the body is still fundamentally good, okay? So do I imagine that somebody like Hitler, what would happen when he went to spirit? Was he welcomed with open arms? Was he made a fuss of in the same way that everybody else is? Just to some extent, yes, he was still returning home. Did he have an epiphany when he arrived there? And did he say, oh my God, did I really do that? Without doubt, okay? And he would still have had to, the same as all of us will, sit down and go through everything that he did, said, lived through, created when he was on this earth, and said, what could I have done differently? What did I do wrong? Could I have been a better person with this? Absolutely, that is exactly what any of them would have had to go through, okay? And then they have to atone in the spirit world for what they've done. Okay, so that's probably a different subject, because whether or not you believe in reincarnation, whether you believe in an afterlife, okay? I mean, I think everybody that's tuning in here now, can or does believe in some way in an afterlife. I don't think you'd be watching a medium if you didn't. Do they? So they have to atone in some way. So whether they choose to atone for what they've done in the spirit world or come back and do it here, well, then that's, another topic. But do I believe that there's such thing as evil spirits? No, okay? Every spirit is fundamentally good. Every spirit comes here with the best of intentions. But, in the same way that people are born with, defects of the body, people are also born with defects of the mind, okay? And they live this life in a different way. But when the soul leaves the body, it's still in the pure form that it always was, okay? So people, I can see that there's some comments, and I'm going to go through them now in a minute, because I know people are disagreeing with me, and they're saying, what about demons and what about haunted places? I mean, can't somewhere be haunted without the spirit being evil? I mean, God forbid. I always say to my kids, when I go, I'm gone, good luck. I'll come back in some way and let you know that I'm fine. But do I want to spend a minute more than I have to on this earth? No. And why would I want to come back? Especially if I'm somebody that's passed over, 50, 100, 300 years. What business do I have here? If you're in an afterlife that's amazingly beautiful, with all of your family and friends, people that love you, absolutely. I mean, why would you want to come back here? I mean, nobody wants to come back here. This is hell. I think this is hell, purgatory, everything that we were taught in Catholic school growing up. I think we're living it now, okay? And I do numerology. Just for those people that study numerology, Pythagorean numerology is what I do. And I think everybody has nightmares about learning Pythagoras' theorem at school. But he was the first one that did numerology, and he put the whole concept together. And, when I was learning it, and you see the karmic debt that people carry with them, and we only come back here because we have something that we need to redo or relive, or some level of spirituality that we need to attain. And, once I attain it, I'm out of here, okay? And Stephen Hunter, my head is gone. Yeah, absolutely, Stephen. Yeah, but I'm out of here and I'm not coming back, okay? And why would I want to? Why would I want to come back here and possess somebody, terrify somebody? I mean, really and truly, the thought is just ridiculous if you really, really think about it, okay? Why would somebody want to do that? Okay, do I believe that a spirit can affect somebody in such a way that makes them different to who they were? Absolutely. I mean, why not? I mean, the energies might clash. You might meet somebody on this earth in physical form and you clash with them. So would a spirit energy clash with somebody? 100%, okay? Because we're not going to get on with everybody. You know, we may be pure, but we're not sainted yet, okay? So yes, there's going to be clashes and there's going to be differences and your energies might bounce off each other. Does that mean you're evil? No, not at all, okay? So let's go through some of these comments because I know people say disagreeing with me, and that's fine because you're allowed to disagree with me and have different opinions. And I know some people have only tuned in just now, and we talked about this at the beginning. So perhaps if you watch back the video, I'm saying, you know, anything that I say to you is gained from personal experience, okay? So 42 years almost of communicating with spirits, energies, and to say that I've never had a negative experience with one. I mean, of course, when I was a teenager, I would have been very dramatic. I mean, you know, teenage girls are. And, you know, I would have been spooked by spirits around, but not terrified, and nobody ever did anything to scare me. And you know, you build up a good rapport with your spirit guides when you're working with spirit all the time, you know, so they tend to look after you and protect you in the way, you know, big brothers, big sisters would do. So, you know, you're very protected. So let me go back. Where is the beginning? Is the beginning at the top or at the bottom? Okay, so let's see. Hi, everybody. Okay, anything knocking at night? Okay. I'm not going to be going through personal experiences. I can't possibly go through every single personal experience on here, okay? What are my thoughts on spirits and haunted places? So actually, yeah, so I mean, can't a spirit haunt somewhere? I mean, a haunting is what? A spirit appearing somewhere, a spirit visiting somewhere. And yeah, you know, anybody who's ever left home, left their hometown, I mean, we're always curious. We all come back for a visit. So yeah, I mean, it's possible that, you know, people do come back for visits. Do I believe spirits are around us? I do, of course. It doesn't mean that they're evil, okay? What about demons? What is a demon, Claire? I mean, you know, what is a demon? An evil spirit? Is it another name for an evil spirit? I've never come across one, okay? And I know people have said, and they will tell me, that they've been possessed by demons. I don't buy into that, okay? Now, it's a personal opinion based on personal experience, and other mediums will differ with me, okay? A demon, it's just another name for an evil spirit, and there's no such thing, okay? So, as I said a minute ago, will a spirit energy clash with your own, make you do funny things or make you act differently? Absolutely, okay? But, you know, they don't mean to, and nobody's coming back. Nobody that died 500 years ago has singled you out. I mean, be realistic about it. Why would they single you out and choose to terrify you? It doesn't make any sense, okay? So let's see. You went to a medium and only found out after she'd done a Ouija, and she channels the dark side and brings bad luck, and you went for some answers that I really needed, and I'm really worried about my bad luck. Can this be the case? Kim, you bring bad luck to yourself, okay? Why would you believe that? I use the Ouija board all the time. I do. I have it. It's in my office. Anybody who's come to my house for a reading, you've been sitting right next to a Ouija board. Okay? The Ouija board is not evil. You can channel people through a Ouija board. It's an easier way for spirits to perhaps spell out something or to say yes or no if they can't connect with you. I mean, I've in several different videos I've gone through, you know, the difference between clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience and all that, you know, and sometimes, you know, you might have a clairaudient and they're trying to connect with the spirit who was a very quiet person in reality. So they're not going to be able to communicate. So the Ouija board is a channel in the same way as table tipping, trance mediumship, which uses like the medium's body, and I do that also. You know, so there's various different ways. The Ouija board is just a method of communication. I think, you know, people use it, you know, with people that they don't trust and they break the circles, they're not protected and all this. I suppose I use it a lot, maybe on my own or with some medium friends or with my husband even. We've done some Ouija board sessions here, and we get some answers to things. And I have a friend who's a professional psychic, and we've used it in missing person cases, you know, and got some answers there. So, you know, it's not necessarily an evil thing. I mean, it's a piece of cardboard, or mine is granite or something, whatever it's made with. You know, it doesn't matter. It's, you know, it's man-made. How can it carry an evil spirit with it? Okay, so I mean, and believe me, okay, as a medium, I don't want, and I can't imagine that any other medium would want to curse you or bring you bad luck. I mean, you know, most days, and this sounds terrible, but it's a job, okay? It is a job. And, you know, I get really interested in everybody that I meet and every spirit. But some days it's like any job where you go to the office and you think, oh, I just want today to be over. But in my case, and thank God, because I spent so many years chained to a desk in the 9-to-5 rat race, I meet different people every single hour of the day, and I get different stories, different life experiences, and different experiences from the spirits. You know, and they tell me their own personal experiences, what they felt, what they went through, how they passed, you know, what they regret about life, if they have any regrets. And it's just amazing, you know, that I get to do that. But why would I want to curse people, you know, channel a dark side, bring somebody bad luck? You know, there's a lot of myth and folklore around what we do, okay? And, you know, don't put mediums on pedestals. I'm just a mother, you know, I'm just an Irish woman from Tipperary. I'm nothing fancy. I just, you know, maybe my mind has been a little bit more open, and I do know that people say, you know, something like this, you know, being able to channel spirits is something that runs in families. But that said, it doesn't mean that I do anything that any one of you watching can't do, okay? I just connect with spirit. That's all I do. It doesn't mean that, you know, I should be put in a pedestal or that everything I say should be taken as gospel, okay? So, and that's the same with any medium, okay? They're just channeling messages. So, you know, I can't see that anybody would want to do anybody any bad. Okay, Kim Kavanagh, you were told it's a message board, but not a Ouija board. Is it the same thing? You know, a text message by any other name is still a text message. Martin Brown, why does evil spirits haunt places? I think that's what you mean. I mean, can't, as I've said it a few times already this evening, can a spirit not haunt somewhere? What is a haunting? It's a physical presence, or a spiritual presence, I should say, not physical, but it's a spiritual presence somewhere. We call it a haunting. You know, they call it a visitation, or, you know, just that they're sometimes, and this is getting into a whole other topic which I'm not going to go down, but I do know that they say certain places are gateways, okay? And I remember being in a hotel doing a course one time, and we started in this particular room. It was like an old estate, and the old kind of big stately home had been converted into a hotel. But in the room we were in, there was this small little, like what looked like a damp patch or something on the wall. And by the end of the 6 months that we spent a weekend a month for 6 months in this room. And like the whole wall was covered in this damp patch. And it was like mostly over the summer months, where you wouldn't have had very bad weather. And it seemed to be some kind of a gateway, because a lot of people experienced ghosts passing through that room. I call them ghosts, I know, but spirits passing through that room. And sometimes there's just like an imprint, like a footprint left somewhere. And sometimes they are just visiting. And, you know, we all get sentimental and we all want to go back and see where we came from. And there's a scene that comes to mind. I know it's a bit ridiculous talking about vampires, but if anybody's seen the interview with the vampire, you know, at the end, they still hang around, you know, and they come back and they're looking at the fact that everybody has electricity and, you know, we drive around in cars and all the rest of it at the very end of the movie. And can you imagine, like, how weird that must be for spirits? Because for thousands of years, things were done the same. They didn't have electricity, they didn't have indoor toilets, and now they come back and they see all this technology that we have. I mean, of course they're going to come back and view that, but doesn't mean they're evil, okay? And let me go back to where I was. Let's see. Okay. Sarah Behan, what physical feelings do you experience when there is an evil spirit around? Okay, well, we'll just take that as a spirit, because not necessarily evil spirits, okay, because I don't believe in evil spirits. But, you know, you're not going to feel anything different than you do, you know, if you consider somebody as evil. But all spirits, the first thing that I tend to feel when any spirit is around me is something about how they died. Okay, I feel the pain sometimes. It's not always pain, but it's like sometimes they just give you a dull feeling, you know. So say for example somebody was in a car crash, okay, a lot of the times I might feel a crushing in the chest. I've often felt a seatbelt, you know, different things, and, you know, it's just to explain, and maybe it's a cancer or something like that, but it's always something about how they passed over, okay, and that's kind of how I connect with them and know that they're here, and I don't know why, and every medium connects differently, but for me, that's one thing, and it seems to have changed. I mean, when I was a child, I never questioned the spirit, but when I had 2 losses within 10 weeks as a teenager, the way I saw death changed, and I became fixated with the cause of death, because, and I've spoke often about Kevin, my relative who passed after a motorcycle accident when he was 31 years old, and I became absolutely fixated with how he died. How did the accident die? He was a really good, you know, motorbike rider, and, you know, he was experienced. He spent years doing it. He'd worked on the bike. He'd put so much time into the bike, and there was no clear cause for the accident because it was on a straight. He was racing. It was on a straight. Something happened. He pulled the bike down. What happened? Nobody knew, and, you know, for a long time nobody knew. And so I became fixated with that, and I think that's why now it's always, how did this person die? Because it became a fixation with me. Okay, so that's how I connect, and that's how I know there's a spirit around, because I feel them. Okay, feel how they died. How would you get rid of negative spirits that you accidentally conjured? I haven't had this happen to me, thanks to the protection of my goddess, but just in case, what would you do? Actually, I've also never had it happen, okay? I've never had anything conjured up. I've never had anything that wouldn't go away if I asked it to. I've never had any spirit connect to me who has been evil or has meant harm to me or anything like that. You know, let's be logical. Why would a spirit want to stay with you? You know, is there something so amazing about your life that they would come back after a couple of 100 years in the spirit world and want to stay stuck to you? Because I guarantee you, they would have a boring time if they spend their time with me. Okay. Elizabeth Fitzpatrick. Oh yes, you do. I had them. You had. I guess you're telling me you've had evil spirits. Please tell us, how did you know it was evil? What did they do? Why did they choose you? Okay, I want to know more, because I want to be proven wrong, because so many people believe in this, and I just can't understand it, because for someone who connects with spirit on a daily basis, why have I never come across an evil spirit? Okay, so Elizabeth, I'd be amazed to hear your story, every inch of it, because I want to know. Okay. Michelle Mack, can you agree with me? Okay, so I'm not on my own here. I feel like I'm kind of a little bit on my own. Rose Moore, thank you, Rose. She agrees with me too. I've got 2 people that agree with me. Annalise Svensson, defective body, defective mind, self-chosen karma. I don't think it's self-chosen karma. It's literally just, in my opinion, very much something you're born with. I mean, if someone's born with okay, I don't want to pick out any one thing, but if someone's born with Down syndrome, do we really think that's karmic? You know, or if someone's born with spina bifida, do we believe that's karmic? Because I don't, okay? I mean, what would a child, an innocent baby, an innocent soul have to have done, you know, to get that, okay? So that's something personally I feel very strongly about, that no, definitely it wouldn't be karmic, okay? It's just, it's a genetic, you know, it is, I mean, it's scientific, and I don't know anything about science or medicine, but, you know, you've got the sperm, you've got the egg, they come together, there's chromosomes, there's all these kind of things. I have a cousin, actually, who somehow, you know, and I don't understand the science, and I really apologize for this, but was somehow incompatible with his partner, and the child they had was born very ill, okay, and he's not expected to live to be an adult, okay, and I don't know the ins and outs, and it's really irrelevant, because, you know, you have to make the most of this little boy while he's here. But, you know, these are genetic and scientific things, but I'm talking about the soul. I'm talking about the bit that, you know, enters and makes life within this body, okay? So I'd have to disagree with that, Annalise, but I agree with your saying it's defective body, defective mind. Yeah, it's absolutely something to do with the physical. Elizabeth Cooney, you agree with me? This is hell, Elizabeth, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, you know, on a sideline, I often think, you know, when you're getting up in the morning, you have to have the kids at school for a particular time, you have to be at work for a particular time. I want to go back to living in a mud hut and just growing a few vegetables and spending all day, every day with my family. I really think they were the simpler times. Stephen Hunter thinks my head is gone. I don't know where you think it's gone, Stephen. You don't give any explanation. It would be nice if you know, explained to people what you're disagreeing with, okay? Hi Claire. Yvonne Byrne, some earthbound spirits are not good and want to do bad deeds to us, especially if we are psychic or developing our gifts. That's your opinion, Yvonne. Do you have an experience that you can share with us? Because that doesn't tell me what you've based your opinion on. And I really would be interested to know. And I'm not asking you, I'm not trying to belittle anybody. I'm giving you my opinion, my experience, and I'd love to hear yours. This is, I don't want to call it a debate because, you know, we all have experiences and I want to share them. This is a forum for sharing. Okay, I'm not trying to put anybody down. Hi, Ashley, Pauline Sparkles, or Sparkles Pauline. Thank you. I think you're brilliant too, Pauline. Elaine Dunn, how long after person has passed can you go to see a medium? It depends on the person, Elaine, and I've done a video actually on this previously, so if you go back through the videos, it depends on how they passed, the kind of person that they were. So maybe if you go back through the videos, you'll get the explanation on that again, okay? Stephen Hunter, the dead will not harm you, it's the living will. That's the point I'm making, Stephen. Yeah, so we're actually in agreement here, so if my head's gone, yours is too, okay? I'm only joking, by the way. Can spirits follow you? If there is one where I live now, if I move, is there a chance of it coming with me? My house is less than 15 years old and there's definitely something here. Okay, you don't say though that you're necessarily afraid of it or that you think it's connected to the house. Can they follow you? I suppose yes. You know, spirits aren't chained up. They're not, you know, while they might come back and visit, you know, somewhere that they lived perhaps when they were alive, or maybe your house is built on a site where there was houses previously. Of course they'd want to come back maybe and visit where they were and see the differences, but you know, why would they want to follow you? Okay, unless they're connected to you. I mean, you're not going to want to follow when you're passed over someday, Joanne. You will be passed over. Okay, it's inevitable. You know, when you come back to visit, are you going to want to follow a random stranger, or are you going to want to follow and connect with someone who is connected with you in some way? I would say the latter, okay? So unless this person has some connection with you, I can't imagine why they would want to follow you. Elizabeth Cooney, Sandie, I always feel somebody on my landing, always about 3 in the morning, I don't know who it is. Ask them, you know, ask them to give you some kind of a sign. Actually, somebody has asked me this during a reading recently, and what I told them to do was, you know, if someone's coming to see you, okay, unless, you know, it was somewhere that they lived and they came by for a visit, if they're coming at 3 o'clock every morning, they're not just visiting and having a look to see what's going on. It must be somebody you know, and there must be a reason why they're visiting, okay? So, you know, do they do something? Is there a feeling that you get, a smell that you get? Do you hear anything? Something that connects you with this person or lets you know that who it is in some way. What I told this person to do is put out photographs of people that you think it might be, and ask them, you know, leave something. Ask them maybe to move one of the photos if it's them. Ask them to turn it over. Maybe you could leave something, a glass or a pebble or something that they can put on the photo if it's them. Ask them to indicate, okay? Try and get an answer from them in whatever way you can. Even if you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and ask them, you know, knocking is one way that I always get answers from spirit. Ask them to knock, you know, once for yes, twice for no. I have some of the best conversations with my own family through knocking on the wall, okay? So ask them. Okay, I always get answers. There's no reason why you can't, because I don't do anything different than just ask. Dan Walsh, I do believe in evil spirits as such, but I think you'll agree with me. I'd say some of it is blown out of proportion for whatever reason to give a place a reputation. For instance, I had the pleasure of investigating Loftus Hall. I've heard that name, but I don't know where it is. Saturday night, I spent most of the night in the card room where the devil himself reputedly played cards with the owners before bursting through the roof. Wow. We got some responses to questions, etc., but nothing untoward. It was very quiet compared to the other rooms in the house. The chapel was one of the most active spots. Yeah, the story of the devil coming to play cards with people. Yeah, I agree with you, Dan. Okay, yeah. I've done some paranormal investigations, and I did an investigation in this one place where it was supposed to be like badly haunted by evil spirits, people that were trapped and, you know, couldn't get out and whatever. And One of the stories I didn't know actually, because I didn't do any investigation on the place itself. Actually, to be honest, until I was asked to go there on a paranormal investigation, I didn't know the place existed, even though it's only about 20 minutes from my home. For anybody who's not living in Ireland, there's lots of random castles around the countryside, and a lot of them are privately owned and they're let out on weekend basis and stuff like this. So I didn't actually know this one was there because it can't be seen from the road. But there was a story about a haunting, but I didn't know about this. But anyway, when I went in and we went to this particular part of the castle, I did connect with a father and daughter who had burned to death in this room, in that particular room that I was in. And after the investigation, because there was several things that happened during the night, it was confirmed by the custodian that yes, a father and a daughter had indeed burned to death in that room. You know, small history lessons, a lot of the older castles would have originally been built in timber before they were started to be built in stone, as was the case with this particular castle that we were in. And the original kind of function hall or banquet room, whatever you would call it, was burnt down, and they were burnt in there. But they weren't necessarily haunting the place, but they did come to visit, you know, and you could feel their energies there. Yeah, Dan, I'd have to agree, but I still don't know, would they be evil? But yeah, people do use it. I was talking earlier, I don't know if you tuned in from the beginning, Dan, I was talking about Most Haunted and Yvette Fielding, and while I love watching it, because, you know, you can see spirits and you can get it, I don't think they're evil, and I really think all the screaming and everything is way over the top. But it draws in viewers, okay? And I'll never get my own TV programme because I don't draw in viewers in that way. Dan, thanks for your comment, and I'm going to actually Google Loftus Hall after this, because I know it's a name I've heard, but I don't really know where it is. So that's really interesting. And, you know, did you have any photos? I'd love to see photos that were taken during paranormal investigations. So interesting. Ashley, you're wondering if spirits would welcome you to your new home. I mean, would your own family be happy for you moving into a new home? If you're happy, they're happy, okay? Doesn't matter if it's, you know, a wooden hut, a mud hut, a caravan, a mobile home, or a stately mansion. If you're happy, they're happy, okay? Because physical things don't matter in the spirit world. So if you're happy, your spirit people are happy. There's absolutely, you know, there's no question about that. Have I ever had anything I can't explain? Oh, there's a question, Dina. Do I have anything I can't explain? I guess when I was younger, more so. I'm very logical, okay, and that's probably why I come across as having very what would you call it? You know, tunnel vision, perhaps. But I'm logical about whether or not. Okay, I can see my connection is a bit up and down, so bear with me. You know, and that's why I keep saying, why would a spirit want to follow you around and haunted and all that kind, you know, and haunt you and all that kind of stuff and possess your body? I mean, if someone's going to possess a body, they're going to pick, like, oh, I don't know, some top model, Naomi Campbell or Kate Moss. They're not going to possess mine, I guarantee it, okay? So maybe that's why I haven't had any bad experiences. Sandy, you believe that they are good and bad. Okay, I mean, but you haven't said evil, and I really like that. There's people you're going to get on with in life, and there's people that you're not going to get on with, and there's people that you're going to agree with, and there's people that you're not going to agree with, and that's probably going to be the same when you go over to the spirit world. Hi Sharon, hi Breda, Catherine, Dee. Thanks everybody for tuning in, you know, and I do love to hear your stories. Like Dan explained himself very well, so if you have an experience, please tell me. Rosie Rowe, I sometimes think I see someone standing beside me, and when I look again, they're gone. What could it be? That can absolutely be spirit. I'm not saying it definitely is, because I don't know what you're seeing, but it can absolutely be spirit. Did you ever feel like in your peripheral vision here at the sides, that you see maybe something fuzzy, or that you see someone moving or something, and you turn around and they're gone? That can absolutely be spirit coming into your peripheral vision, because you're not, you know, you're not concentrating. It's like almost when you're having a daydream and you see something or feel something. Do I think that can be spirit? Yes, I do, Rosie. Absolutely. Stephen Hunter, you know if your man stone is still in Galway? I don't know what that means, Stephen. If your man's stone, I don't know. I don't know what that means. Teresa O'Callaghan, I feel like my brother-in-law is with me all the time. Would I be right? Just have a feeling. If you have that feeling, Teresa, then why do you think it could be wrong? I don't know. I'm not connecting with your energy right now. Okay. So if you feel he's there, but let's be realistic. Okay. You say all the time. Would it be fair to say regularly that he visits you? Does he want to watch you sleeping or in the bath or the shower or anything like that? Probably not. Does he have other family members that he wants to visit? Absolutely. Okay. So maybe regularly would be a better phrase than all the time. But why would he not want to be with you? If you got on in life, he's going to want to come back and let you know that he's okay. Okay. So yes. Hi, Catherine Scahan. Very well said. Thank you. I'm glad to see there's a few people agreeing with me. Kayleen Dennehy, you're talking about being protected when using the Ouija board. If there was no evil spirits, you wouldn't need to be protected. Where there is good, there is evil. A bad soul is a bad soul. Well, you know, if that's the way you feel, Kayleen, did I say protected? Yeah, probably did, because everyone tells you have to be protected when using the Ouija board. Do I do prayers and rituals when I'm using the Ouija board? No, I don't. So I'm probably not protected. I put my trust in my spirit guides, but I don't feel I need to, okay? So, you know, do I use the lingo? Do I tell people, you know, well, it's not that I tell people, I don't teach anybody how to use the Ouija board, but I probably do say protected because it's what I hear every day, okay? There is no need to be protected, but some people feel that it's necessary. What I would like to see personally is that people would feel comfortable with using more of these tools, okay? But it doesn't have to be a Ouija board. I do table tipping as well, and I really enjoy it. But if you believe that there's bad souls, why? You know, what's your experience of a bad spirit? What makes you believe? And I'm not here to belittle anybody. I disagree that there is bad and evil spirits, but I want somebody to tell me that this is what they experienced. And I'm saying like, wow, oh my God, you know, that must be evil. You know, I want to know your experiences. Thanks, Andy. It was everything she said and nothing came true, so just needed to ask that. Thanks. No problem, Kim. Look, don't be worried. Okay, nobody can put a spell on you. And you know the curses that people used to put on years ago. It's making you think. I was actually rewatching a movie that I watched, one of my favorite ones. I bought it on DVD and I love to watch it like every year or whatever. It's called This Is My Father. And there's a funny scene in it where there's a travelling lady or a gypsy woman, whatever she calls herself in the movie, and as a joke she puts a kick and fall curse or kick and trip curse or something like this on the woman. And of course, because that's all that's on her mind, she starts to fall over and trip over everything, okay? And that's really how the old curses worked, okay? So nobody can actually really put a curse on you, but they can make you think. It's like when someone chips away at your confidence and tells you you're this and that and the other, you know, that's the same thing. Okay, Catherine O'Halloran, would love a message from my dad. Okay, I'm sorry to hear about your dad, Catherine, but I'm not going to be doing individual readings here this evening. Marie Hines, feel your mum around you all the time. So again, I would use the word regularly. But there's no reason why your mum wouldn't be around, okay? You feel your sister at times, Susan O'Curry Nestor. Why wouldn't you? You know, your sister misses you too. Like, we keep forgetting that spirits miss us just as much as we miss them, okay? What do spirits look like? Well, Claire, when they come through and they're trying to show you things about themselves, either you see it exactly what they look like or you see bits and pieces of them, they're going to show you what they look like in physical form. Because if I said to you, I see an energy, a fuzzy, foggy energy, a bit like a cloud floating through the room, that's not going to mean anything to you. But if I say I saw your grandfather and he had glasses and a moustache and a pipe and a flat cap and a green jacket and a rip in his pants, well, you're going to say, oh my God, that's him, you know. But he doesn't look like that anymore, but he's going to come through in a way that you will recognise, because that's what you're expecting to see. In the same way that anybody that comes who's lost a child, you know, especially babies, you know, you're always going to imagine that child as a baby, but that child may be in spirit 30 years and they may have grown up, you know, but they're going to come back and you're going to be showing them the way that you picture them, okay, because otherwise you're not going to recognise them. I've had it time and again in readings, and I'll say to somebody, I have a 25-year-old man here, and I think he died younger and he had breathing problems or whatever. No, I don't know anybody like that. My child died as a baby 25 years ago. You know, so think about what you're, you know, realistically coming for a reading to hear. So yeah, they can grow up in spirit, but you're always going to be shown a way that you recognise. Okay. Michael, I work in the death industry. I've been on homicides, taking babies out of their mother's hands, oh God, funeral homes, more than 100 years old cemeteries, mortuaries, never ever, not once in over years, I've had not one experience. Dead is dead, nobody hangs around, no zombies, no spirits, no souls, all mumbo jumbo BS. That's your opinion, and you know, that's your experience. Why are you here? Okay, because I put on the title that we were going to talk about, are there such things as evil spirits, and yet you're here. There's a curiosity there, Michael. I don't believe that there's not. Matthew, Michael, ask yourself why they don't come near you. Okay, well, there's nothing wrong with Michael that they wouldn't come near him, but it's like I keep saying to people, I don't do anything that anybody else can't do. It's about opening your mind and reading the signs, okay? And Michael, I understand that you can get so fixated. I was actually talking to, I was telling my son actually the other day about an experience that I had. I had to go to a police station when I worked in London. I wasn't in trouble or anything. I was working in a bank and we'd been defrauded, and I had to go and make a statement about the woman because I'd met her. When I arrived at the police station to make my statement, there was very few rooms free, so he had to take me down this corridor, and the officer said to me, you know, whatever you do, just keep your eyes on the floor till we get to the end of this corridor. And it's like when you go to a restaurant and people say, don't touch the plate, it's hot. The first thing you do is touch the plate. So he said to me, look at the floor. The first thing I did was look at the walls, and it was all like homicide pictures. That's a harsh reality to be faced with on a day-to-day basis. And I can understand why you feel that someone like that would want to go and be gone. But, you know, those people aren't the ones that would want to connect with you, Michael. It's your own loved ones, okay? So don't try, you know, to connect with those people because they've been through something horrific. I've connected with murder victims and they have horrific deaths, you know, a lot of them. So it's your own loved ones that you would want a connection with, and they're the ones that would want to connect with you, okay? So I believe that because you're here, there's curiosity. So, but that's just my opinion, and I completely respect yours because you haven't had any experience with spirits. So you're entitled to believe the way you believe because, I mean, you've been through a lot. When you connect with a spirit that has died from suicide, e.g. hanging, do you feel the pain and anguish they must have felt? I did say the word pain, Josie. I did, and I shouldn't have, because it's like, I mean, I'm the worst in the world for pain. If I get a paper cut, I'm nearly crying and I have to go for the plasters, you know. But it's not really a pain, and I don't feel the paper cut. I see a little bit of blood or a cut on my finger, and then I feel pain, okay? You know, I don't want to upset anybody who's had anybody that's passed through suicide, but what I feel generally is a choking feeling, but it doesn't hurt. And I know that sounds really weird, but I tend to feel like in that particular situation that you've talked about, like I'm being choked and I know I can't get a breath down my throat, okay? It's not the same for everybody. There are different ones. But do I feel the anguish they must have felt? I would know that they've suffered from some kind of depression or anxiety, and some of them don't, okay? Sometimes it's a split-second decision. But do I feel it? Sometimes, okay? Do I always get answers as to why that they felt that this was their only way out? Not always. Some people that died by suicide don't want to talk about it. It's very individual, as is every passing. Very individual, okay? So I can't generalize and say it's always this or it's always that. It really depends on the person, okay? But I hope you haven't had to experience that, Josie, that you haven't lost somebody, because it sounds like a very personal question, and I'm sorry if you had. Tanya Freeman, oh, believe me, there is evil spirits. Okay, Tanya, if there are evil spirits, you haven't elaborated. I keep asking, tell me, why do you feel it? I mean, absolutely, if you're telling me there are, then I believe you. But I want you to tell me how you know, okay? Elizabeth Cooney, Josie, you wouldn't feel their pain. No, you wouldn't, Elizabeth. I agree, okay? Hi, Rebecca. Karen Bowden, Nat need another one. If so, I'm in there too. Okay, I'm not sure where that's coming from. Okay, Laura Kavanagh, can spirits put thoughts in your head or put thoughts as they want you to think in your head, like psychic attack? Okay, let's take a step back from that question. Why do you think, well, can spirits put thought in your head? Yes, because that's how spirit connection works. Okay, it's like telepathy, it's like a transfer of thought. A psychic attack, I don't know what you mean by psychic attack. I do trance mediumship, and trance mediumship is where literally you meditate down and you're in trance, and spirit talks through your body, okay? And Sometimes I'll remember afterwards what said, sometimes I won't. Okay, it's just very individual. It depends on the spirit that I'm connecting with. But I've never had them like do weird things, you know, while I've been in trance, thank God. I've never had anything negative happen. They've always been very respectful when my body's got tired and exhausted. They've always been happy to leave. They've always thanked me. So have I ever had anybody attack me like that? No, thank the Lord, you know, and that's why I don't believe in evil spirits, because of the thousands that I've connected with over my lifetime. Never anybody evil, and maybe I've just been lucky, and I want somebody to tell me why I've just been lucky and what their experiences are. Okay, Rebecca Price, why do people need exorcism? Why do people experience hauntings? They cannot all be making it up. Surely, I find it hard to believe everyone goes to heaven. Surely evil stays evil. Okay, why do people need exorcism? I've never exorcised anybody, so I don't know. The only people that I've heard doing it is the Catholic Church, and they would probably exorcise me if they got their hands on me. Why do people experience hauntings? Haunting is just a spirit presence. They're around us all the time. So if someone sees a spirit, they assume a place is what they call haunted. I must look it up in the dictionary actually and see what the exact definition of haunted is. They cannot all be making it up. Absolutely, but nobody, of all the comments here, nobody said, I've experienced this. And I mean, there's what, 160 odd people viewing it right now at this very minute. It's going up and down all the time. Nobody's telling me I've experienced this. Why? You know, why have none of us who believe in spirits, who, even Michael, who doesn't believe in an afterlife but works a lot with people who have died or, you know, just literally passed over when he comes into contact with them, you know, why is nobody, if there is evil there, if there's people that want to take revenge, why have none of us have any contact with them? Okay, so evil stays evil. I don't know, Rebecca, were you tuned in at the beginning where we spoke about the physical and the mental defects in the earthly body, and we don't take that with us when we go? Okay, Natalie Owens, hoping she will come soon. Mail Sandie a few weeks back, waiting on days. Oh, hi Natalie. Yeah, sorry, I didn't recognise the name for a minute. I know, yeah, Natalie's looking for me to come to Limerick. So if you're in Limerick and you're interested in reading, let me know. Faye Dickens, Sandie, I'm sad. I've lost people so dear. Please let me know they are okay. I'm so sorry to hear that, Faye. And, you know, this isn't the forum for individual readings because I don't have your energy to connect with. You know, and that's why I don't do readings. And I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's just the kind of medium that I am. I need some kind of energy to connect with. There are mediums that will read you by email, by Facebook message. That's absolutely fine, okay? Absolutely possible. I'm clairvoyant and clairsentient. I need an energy to connect with, okay? So I like to hear your voice, see your energy on Skype, or meet you in person, okay? I have to have that energy, okay? And you believe, Faye. Well, I hope you do, and you're not here just to make fun of us. Agnes Fenley, just wondering, can you see my brother or parents? Okay, so the same thing. I'm not going to be doing individual readings here at the moment. Karen Raff, hi, Karen. Mary Burke, I think the only evil spirits are the living. Fear the living, not the dead. I always say this very same thing, Mary. And my mother always said it, and my grandmother and her mother before her, and they all connected to spirits. So they always said the same thing. Susan Jane and Larry Nolan, hi. So grateful. Janet Sheehy, so grateful for the help you gave me. Hi, Janet. I'm glad to hear that, you know, that whatever advice or whatever that we spoke about, that it gave you some peace. I think, you know, most of my job is just letting people know, you know, and not even that I'm letting them know, the messages that they get from people, that they're okay, you know, and that's really the main thing. Can spirit hurt humans? Hi, Karen. Can spirit hurt humans? I suppose if they really wanted to, why would they want to? I've never ever heard of a spirit hurting a human. I've heard of humans hurting humans, but not spirit hurting humans. So why would they want to? Elizabeth Cooney, I feel you're standing looking. My son has passed over, but I know it's not him. He blows in my face. Thank you. Oh, I'm not amazing, Elizabeth, but thank you. It's really lovely to have somebody say that. But again, don't put mediums on pedestals. We're only people. And, you know, I've been telling people, you know, and apologising for the last few weeks that my house is a ball of dust. I'm trying to renovate and I have a separate area of the house now all cordoned off that's going to be a work area, and I actually have a big room where I'm going to be able to do things like meditation circles and, you know, maybe do some, what was I going to say, do some like trance demonstrations, you know, in small groups. I have a room that I reckon I'll fit 20 or 30 people in. And, you know, I'm hoping, you know, later in the year if I get it finished. So if anybody wants to come to a paint party, we're getting to that stage soon. I have my husband doing the electrics at the moment. But yeah, so I want to do much more of this stuff. And teach people how to connect with spirit themselves. I can't teach you and I can't make you. I can tell you how to look for the signs and how to open your mind. Okay, so teaching is the wrong word. I won't be able to teach anybody because you can already do it, you just don't know it yet. Okay. Jackie, Loftus Hall is in Wexford. And I was in Wexford a couple of weeks ago. My first show in Wexford, and I loved it. My God, I had such a good crowd there. Okay, well, I'm going to book a stay for me and my husband in Loftus Hall. I didn't know there was such a place. I'd heard the name, obviously. I don't know where I'd heard it. Somebody must have been there sometime. But that it's haunted. Maybe I'll meet an evil spirit. Yvonne Byrne. Okay, Sandie, this morning after my husband went to work, I couldn't move in the bed. Someone got in behind me and was heavy breathing on the back of my neck. I struggled and eventually couldn't move. It was like I was paralysed, and it stopped once I could move. It has happened to me on and off since I was a teenager. Okay, Yvonne, that's happened to me too, and it's still not an evil spirit. Okay, so you've got to think about who you know. That always happens to me. I'm sorry that I keep talking about Kevin, but I was so close to him and he's still so close to me. The first time I connected with him after he died, I was 15 when he died. He was 31. And about 2 weeks after he died, I was already talking earlier about how I became so fixated with how the accident happened and everything, and I wasn't allowed by my mum to go and see where the accident had happened because she thought it would upset me too much. But I asked him, I just said, look, I need to know how it happened. I can't get my head around it. You know, what went wrong? Nobody knew why. The bike had passed scrutiny and the whole lot. And so I asked him before I went to sleep, and I said, show me. So he showed me. Okay, so that was my first connection. So the following day I could explain to my mother exactly where it happened, exactly what happened, and blah blah blah. And I told her some things as well, which actually only came out of the inquest, which was about 14 or 15 months after the accident. So later on, as I got a bit older, I say older, I was probably about 18, and I was getting more comfortable, I suppose, with being able to connect with spirit. So I asked him again, could he connect with me? And the first time he connected with me, it terrified me, because, and I was explaining that I was so fixated, and I'm not saying that you're fixated, but one of the first things that I feel from spirit is something about how they died. And it was just, I'm not going to go into the exact details of his injuries and stuff, but he couldn't breathe. It was an accident, his chest was crushed, blah, blah, and he couldn't move. So he was lying at the side of the road, and all he could move was his eyeballs, and he could see people around him, but he couldn't move, he couldn't talk, he couldn't communicate in any way. And that's exactly how I felt. I thought I was dying, okay? I was in the bed. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't move. It felt like there was a truck, not joking, it felt like there was a truck on my chest. And all I could move was my eyeballs, okay? I couldn't breathe, I couldn't move, I couldn't utter a word. And it seemed like the longest time. And then it passed, okay? And I was young, I had to go and see a medium, and I didn't tell her about my experience. She was amazing, this medium, and I have, no qualms at all about telling you it was Christine Houlihan in Portlaoise, the only medium that's ever read for me. And she said to me, he's connected with you, and it felt like this, and he saw it, and he got so scared that you were going to die because I hadn't had a breath in a few minutes. So he backed off, okay? But that was my first time experiencing something like that, okay? And it was my relative, and he's not evil, and I experience it every day, okay? Like that lady asked about the hanging, I feel like I'm choking. People have often come to me and someone's been ill, they've had tubes down their throat, and I start coughing or whatever, so I'm feeling all those things all the time. So now, do I know if it was actually a spirit or some kind of sleep paralysis? I'd have to talk to you more about that. Doesn't mean, Yvonne, that person was evil. You're obviously clairsentient. If this was a spirit, you're just clairsentient, and that means you feel their energy. And like me, one of the first things you feel is something about how they passed. Okay, so I love your story, and I mean, it's very brave to share this with people, because people think I'm mad. I'm just used to it now. But I just still don't see anything there that tells me that it was somebody evil. It just sounds like you and I are very similar. We're clairsentients. Stephen Hunter, I'm very into the spirit world, have a lot of spirits come through to you. I don't go to the graveyard because I don't believe that they are there. What do you think? Absolutely. And Stephen, they say it to me every day. You know, I had somebody come in a few months ago who was dying with the flu, and when we connected with her loved one, the first thing they did was give out to her, what are you doing at the graveyard in the rain? I'm not there. I'm at home waiting for you. You know, that's where the physical remains are buried. And I'm talking to a picture when I should be talking here. That's where the physical remains are buried. I agree with you 110%. Doesn't mean that they're there, okay? Yes, you know, sometimes they might visit the grave with us because they know that that's where we're headed to. But they don't live there. You know, they're here, but you know, to some people, and I don't belittle them for it, because you know, I visit the grave maybe once or twice a year myself, and you're going to think this is awful because my route into town actually past the graveyard where my family are buried. My close family and a lot of the other family are actually buried a few miles away, but I pass it every day, but I don't ever feel inclined or pulled to go in there. You know, only really on special occasions, maybe at Christmas to bring a wreath or something. But, you know, in some way, it's like you can't hand somebody a birthday card, so you need to bring them a flower or something. And, you know, it is a way of us showing them, you know, it's not necessary, but it's a very human thing. But, yeah, I agree with you, Stephen, 100%. Pauline, hi, Yvonne. Wow, good. I have been getting that from when I was a teenager. Also, I put it down to sleep paralysis. Could be sleep paralysis, Pauline, as I said, or it could just be that she's very clairsentient in the same way that I am. William Miller, most haunted is a fake job. Derek is a charlatan. Is that Derek Cora? I actually like Derek Cora, okay? But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's, you know, they have to bring in viewing figures. So there has to be a certain amount of dramatization, okay? Ed and Lorraine Warren is worth reading about if you're interested in learning more. Ed and Lorraine Warren. I'm going to have to write that down now. Okay, Ed, and who are they? I'm going to be on Google half the night. Okay, I'll definitely do that, William. Thank you very much. I'm definitely interested in learning more. Always interested in learning more. I mean, never will know everything. Can spirits follow you when you move house? We've already answered that. Ash, Loftus Hall is out at the Hook Peninsula in County Wexford. Thank you, Rosie. So it's the Hook Peninsula. I'm very bad at my geography. County Wexford. I'm going to have to go back to Wexford, aren't I, folks? Okay, thank you for that, Rosie. Michael McCreesh is laughing at us. Are you laughing at us, Michael, or with us? Sarah Debehan, I keep seeing flashes in my peripherals. Is that spirit? Yeah, we've already talked about that. Flashes, fuzziness, or, you know, actual shapes. Now, that's not to say that if you see fuzziness that there might not be something wrong with your peripheral vision. We have to be realistic about things, okay? But yes, it can be. But my mother had a problem with her eyes where she saw flashes, so it depends. Is it happening all the time or is it just once in a while? Okay, so maybe have your eyes checked as well. See, I'm very logical about things like that. I have to get, for those that watch Most Haunted, there was a guy on it who used to always try and prove them wrong. The Irish guy, the tall guy, parapsychologist, but I can't remember his name. I feel a bit like that sometimes, that even though this is what I do and I do believe in it, but I don't believe in the evil part of it. But yes, Sarah, yeah, you know, if you get your eyes checked and they're fine, then it's probably spirit. But it's not to say, if you're just seeing it once in a while and not all the time, it probably is. Lisa Keane, I've been asking my nana a question for ages now. I'd love to know what's going to happen for you. Okay, again, Lisa, I can't make this about individual readings. I'll be here all night. But thank you for your question, and I'm sure your nana is around you. Ask her. You see 1111 all the time. What is this? Please, again, we're getting into numerology, so that's a different topic. But there is meanings to 1111, and I haven't really used my numerology page in a while, so maybe I'll put up something about that in the next few days. Yeah, I have a separate page called SBM Numerology, so Sandie Byrne Medium, SBM Numerology, and I just haven't had time lately to put anything up there, so I must start doing that again. I would love to hear from your parents or brother. You really believe? I know you're the 13th child and very unlucky. Oh, Agnes, you're not unlucky. You make your own luck, okay? So, I mean, I'm always saying that. I'm always saying, God, you know, if I backed a horse, he'd surely fall at the first fence. But, you know, we say it, but we hope it's not true at the same time, don't we? Chloe Ash, many years ago in bed, you saw a white figure pass the bottom of your bed, but looked around at you, and all you saw were teeth. Walked out through a wall. What would that have been? Well, there's nothing there that tells me it's an evil spirit, that's for sure. It could have been. I mean, I don't know. I'm not connecting with that person or you at this moment. I'm just reading the 4 lines you've written here. It could have been a spirit. You could have been half asleep. Were you dreaming it? I can't say exactly what that was because I wasn't there, okay? But can spirits, you know, walk through walls? Yeah, according to all the movies they can, so why would it not be true? Natalie Owens, your mother had only passed a week when you saw Sandie. Straight away she had my mother, most amazing meeting ever. Oh, thank you, Natalie. That's such a nice thing to say. I must send you a link. Would you mind if I sent you a link to my reviews page? Because I've started not to post testimonials on my actual website anymore. And the reason for that is I think, I mean, you know, if I chose to, I would only put up good things and I could make it up. So what I decided to do was to use an independent website. So if you go to the homepage of my website, you see down at the bottom there is a link to my page on Best Psychic Directory, and people can post there. I don't get to see them before they're published, so it completely is independent. So I decided to use that because I just feel that it's fairer to people, because there's no point in me vetting everything that I put up. William Miller, you were a witness at a table tipping and totally caught the person out using the side of their shoes. So we put a square outline on the table to remove the chance of using pressure on the table. Once we did that, the table didn't tip. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I've done it in several different environments with loads of different people. Sometimes it doesn't tip. It doesn't. Sometimes you will get people, you know. I mean, I can't say that there was somebody deliberately doing it. I wasn't there, and it would be unfair of me to say that. But I get what you're saying, and you know, without a doubt, you know, you're going to get people who are going to over dramatize things and try and make it work for them. You know, if a spirit doesn't come through, and I would be the first to say it, and you know, there have been a few instances where I haven't been able to connect with people. You know, let it go. If it doesn't happen on a particular day, it doesn't happen. I don't believe in making it happen or making it up. So I'm sorry that someone ruined that experience for you. And maybe when I have my room available, if I can get a nice table that we can do some table tipping. And, you know, it does need to be a light table. I mean, spirits aren't coming through after lifting weights for 600 years trying to tip a table, you know. So it has to be kind of, you know, one that can be moved. But, you know, pressure on the table, I only ever put my fingertips like this, and they're not even like pressing down. So yeah, you know, it's like anything, you know, using the Ouija board or anything like that. You know, make sure you trust who you're with, and it's not because you need protection, it's because you need to know that people aren't winding you up. Spirits visiting in dreams, Emma, yeah, I've talked about it already loads of times in different videos. It's the only time where you're relaxed enough to let them in, because on a day-to-day basis we go around with our heads so full of things. Do we think we come back again, reincarnation? That's another topic again. I do believe, Rebecca, yeah. Stephen, when your partner moved into your house 2 years ago, it felt in a box room that you couldn't breathe, heard strange noises, but we got the house blessed, it seems fine. Would it have been a spirit? Why not? You know, I wasn't there, I can't say exactly what it was. I've had spirits who, when I connect with them, it makes it hard for me to breathe. But why in just one room? Were they just in there? Do you think they were trapped in there? Now, I'm not belittling it. I'm trying to think it out in my head logically. Why that room? And why were they only in there? And when you got the house blessed, it seems fine. I've yet to meet a spirit that's afraid of a priest. Now, I believe I was raised Catholic, and I got my house blessed. I had a mass here when we built the house and we moved in. So there's nothing wrong with that, and I'm not trying to belittle you for that, because I do it myself. But I'm not saying there wasn't a spirit there. I don't know the history of your house, and I wasn't there, so I can't say if it definitely was or definitely wasn't. But it sounds like there was, you know. You could hear noises, breathing. I just can't figure out why the spirit would just stay confined to one room. So maybe there's history in that house that we don't know about. Phil Parr, you dream about your grandparents, are they looking over me? Well, if you're dreaming about them, they're trying to let you know, Phil, that they are looking over you. Okay, because as I say, it's, you know, when you're sleeping, you're relaxed, you're not thinking about what you're going to cook for dinner tomorrow. Did you iron a shirt for someone for the morning or whatever? So, you know, it's the only time that they have time to come in. Sage your house, yeah. People say sage a lot, and people have brought me presents of sage, which is lovely, and I keep them. I've never burnt it. It's just one question, and I just keep asking, and nobody says. I was at a fair once actually, and another medium came up with sage all around me, you know. I think he thinks that I'm evil. But, you know, why would a spirit who's not of this world be afraid of us burning some kind of spice or whatever sage is? So if it makes you feel better, I think it's like the curse kind of thing. I feel differently about crystals because they vibrate, but the idea that the smoke from something that smells nice can chase away a spirit, I don't buy into it, and I want somebody to tell me that it helps. Okay, and how it helps. Claire Caffrey, I dream about a woman all the time, but I don't know her. Okay, I could give a smart answer to that, but I don't. I won't, because it's not fair, because you've asked a really good question. I don't know, because, I mean, I'm taking one line, you dream of a woman. You don't know her, I don't know what she does, I don't know, does she say anything to you, and what guys, you know, does she come every night, does she only come when you're stressed? You know, there's millions of different variables in there that would change the story. Is she spirit guide? Is she trying to connect with you? Have you had other experiences that you've ignored? Okay, so I'm getting messages there on my iPad to say that my storage is almost full. I don't know, does that mean that my video is going to cut out, but we'll see. Natalie Owens, do I believe a loved one comes to collect you as you die? Yes, 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 and yes. 110%. And you know, I'm always, as I'm reading, you know, I have a notebook and I'm scribbling down things that just gel with me. And last night I was reading a bit, I can't remember the lady's name, she's Steve Jobs' sister. Do you know Steve Jobs is the guy that invented Apple, the iPod, the iMac, all the rest of it. And he passed away with cancer, as we all know, a few years ago. And his sister wrote some beautiful pieces about him after he passed. But what really resonated with me, and I wrote it down because I want to do something for my page on it, but he studied a lot about the different religions and their beliefs in, you know, death and the afterlife. And we all have the same intrinsic beliefs, you know, that we're all met by some kind of an energy. But in his final hours, she sat with him and she talked with him, and he apologized for her for leaving her so soon and all the rest of it. And as it came to his time and he was saying goodbye to people, and all of a sudden he was looking at them, and then he looked beyond them, and all he said was, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow, and he was gone. Absolutely. I mean, like, what was he looking at? I wanted to know. And I read a book, and I have to wait till I go back to London. It was in the library in the Arthur Findlay College, and I couldn't sleep one night, so I went down and I grabbed a book and I was reading it. And it was all about that, about what people see and what they described at the moment of death. My own granddad passed. Again, when I was 15, there was just 10 weeks between him and his son Kevin passing. And he actually passed in our house because when he took ill, he came to live with us, my mother, and just as he passed, he had been in what they call the comatose state, but I know now that he wasn't actually in a coma. It's just that his body was too weak to respond. But he knew everything that was going on around him. He knew who was in the room and what was going on, but his body was weak. And after sitting with him, I sat with him on the Sunday morning, I think for about 6 hours. And I talked to him, and I stroked his hand, and I read him the newspaper, and there was no response whatsoever. I got a little twitch from his hand one time, but I didn't know if that was, like, you know, him trying to communicate with me or just a muscle twitch. But anyway, he didn't pass to the early hours, and my mother didn't want me to be there. So I was upstairs, but she came up and she said to me afterwards, and she said to me, that just, and I'm getting emotional now, I loved my granddad, and because I was raised by a single mother, he was my father figure, and just before he passed, and his breathing was all, you know, rattly and everything, and he hadn't communicated in days, and he hadn't moved in days, he sat bolt upright in the bed, and he shouted, wait daddy, I'm coming too. And that was it, he was gone. His body fell lifeless back to the bed, and he was gone. So do I believe that people come for us? 110%. You know, oh God, what is there to go to otherwise? Natalie, you'll see your ma'am again. You will. Antoinette O'Connor, just wondering, when you feel a cold breeze, does it mean someone is with you? It can. It can also mean there's a door or a window open, okay? Be realistic about it. It's not every time you feel a breeze. But yes, it absolutely can mean any kind of change in temperature. Helen Clinton, can you send, hi Rebecca, can you send me a blessing? Okay, so that's not for me. Leslie DeLowry, have you ever encountered shadow people? I don't know what you mean by shadow people, Leslie. Can you send me more information? I'll Google that term, shadow people. Something I haven't heard before. So maybe it's something that I would use a different term for, or maybe it's just something I've never come across. And, you know, that's one thing that I didn't mean to say to people. I've had so many different emails about different topics today. I haven't read them all. I've seen the titles. You know, just because I connect with spirit doesn't mean that I'm an expert on everything, okay? Like there's shamanism, there's dream interpretation, there's, you know, things about energy. There's so many different topics with regards to either the afterlife or the energy of spirit or all that kind of stuff. God, have I been talking for that long? My God, an hour and 10 minutes. But I'm not an expert on everything, okay? And I can only speak on what I have experience of. Okay, but Leslie, yeah, I'm going to Google shadow people. I don't know what you mean by that. The Protestant church does exorcism as well. So do most religions in the world. Okay, William, I didn't know that, but thank you. So I stand corrected. So I don't know what the purpose of an exorcism is, because I don't believe in spirits. Okay. Helen Clinton, only once did my mother, who I lost in a car crash, come to me in a dream. Why did I smell lavender? Well, I don't know. I can't tell you why you smell lavender, Helen. What does it mean to you? My granddad is carbolic soap. So, you know, that's because he was in the army and it was army issue and he always used carbolic soap. So, did she wear perfume that was lavender? Did she have a lavender soap? Did she have lavender in the house? It doesn't, like, lavender doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. It's what it means to you, Helen, okay? And what the connection is to your mother. That's what you have to think about. Susan Davern says, Susan, okay, I don't know. Agnes Fenny, if you feel you've done something evil in life, do you believe you will be punished? I think you have to atone for it, which means you have to make up for it. But punishment, I think, as I was talking about earlier, and I don't know who has tuned in since we started, you know, that, you know, you will have your own epiphany when you pass over. And maybe I will as well, you know, because maybe I'm wrong about everything. Maybe there are evil spirits and a Satan and all the rest of it. But, you know, when we pass over, we will have an epiphany. And we will say, did I do that? You know, God, I can't believe that I was like that. I was that stubborn, or I was that, you know, I don't know, obnoxious in life, or I can't believe, you know, I haven't killed anybody yet. But maybe, you know, if I did kill somebody, that I would realise that I had done wrong, okay? There's a woman, Carla Faye Tucker, who, well, I'm obsessed by crime, okay? Ever since I was young, I read crime and how they solve cases, and I love things like forensic programs and stuff like this. But was a lady who killed somebody in the States, and she was executed back in 1998. Carla Faye Tucker was her name, and she actually had her epiphany here. Because, anyway, there's no point in me talking about her, but she had a horrific lifestyle. Her mother introduced her to drugs at the age of 8 or something. But it was only when she was arrested and she came off the drugs and all the rest of it that she had her epiphany. And she started to atone here. And there was lots of people that believed that she shouldn't have been executed. You know, we all have our beliefs on execution and murder and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is, if she was genuine in the way she portrayed herself, you know, towards the end of her life, I think that's something that we can all aspire to when we pass over, that whatever we've done wrong, and hopefully the majority of us won't be murderers, but that, you know, we will kind of realise the wrong that we've done, and we will want to make amends for that. And I know she did a lot of work with different organisations to try and make amends for what she had done. Okay, so punished is probably a word I wouldn't use, but atonement is definitely a word I would. Can spirit's father protect his child? Does it need protecting? Okay, you have to ask yourself, you know, does this child need protecting? Why does he want to protect his child? Does he worry about the child? Yes. Does he look out for the child? Yes. Is he interested to know what's going on? Yes. Does he visit the child? Yes. But, you know, what does the child need protection against? Okay, so you just need to ask yourself that. Helen Clinton, why did I call you Rebecca? I don't know, Helen. Sorry, I thought you were asking, there was another Rebecca on here. I thought you were asking her a question. Sorry. Elaine Egan, my dad is dead 5 years. Okay, never once feels present. My sister reckons she smells cigarette smoking, gets it present around her in the house, but I've never seem to believe he's around. Elaine, you know, I can't go into personal experiences here because I don't want to bore too many people, but You know, you're just not ready for it, you're still grieving, okay? And your sister smelling cigarette smoke, yeah, when people smoke, I can smell smoke as well. That's called clairgaussians, so that's clear smelling. Okay, so smelling, and the other lady who smells the lavender when her mother's around, that's also clairgaussians. But, you know, in the way she smells cigarette smoke, because her dad smoked, well, why are you smelling lavender? There must be a connection between your mum and lavender, okay? Either that or it's not your mum that's around. Rebecca, I've had a very negative experience with something that was evil about 10 years. Okay, here we go now. It started with your bed moving while you were sleeping, or about to. I moved in with my boyfriend and both of us experienced a presence. It showed itself as a black figure, and twice I felt it attack me, for the want of a better word. It held me down, and for years after I was seriously afraid to sleep alone. When it definitely happened, and I never got to the bottom of it. I've had dreams with weird messages from dead relatives too, so maybe I'm in touch with my spirit side. What I experienced is not nice or good. Rebecca, was it you that said something similar earlier? Someone was talking about feeling like they were being held down or paralysed in the bed. There's nothing in your message that tells me that it was an evil spirit. It tells me that you were experiencing something that you saw, and from the age of about, I would say 6 until about the age of 23, I had a visit practically, I wouldn't say every single night, but practically every night, from a dark, and all I could see, because I hid under the duvet, because nothing can hurt you if you're under the duvet, obviously. It was my spirit guide, and he was trying to connect with me, and he was getting frustrated. When he got frustrated because I was ignoring him, he shook the bed, he pulled the duvet off the bed, and even when I moved in with my partner, who I'm now married to, he will tell you that one night, it was before we had children, we were in, it wasn't in this house, it was a different house we were living in, and the door opened and closed, and the duvet flew off the bed, and the bed was kicked, and that was it. He spent about 3 months in the spare room after that, okay? So there's nothing that tells me that that spirit being, whatever it was that was in the room with you, is evil. It tells me that you're frustrated, that you're ignoring them. Okay, so try and give them some space to talk to you. And about feeling held down to the bed, again, we've gone through that before with the other person. You're probably very clear sentient in that you're feeling something about how this person died, okay? So there's nothing there that tells me that it was evil. Do I think you got a fight? Absolutely, but it doesn't mean that it was evil. Stephen Hunter, I have been pinned to the bed about 20 times over the last 20 years. You can't talk as well for around 5 seconds. Yeah, we've talked about that, Stephen. Exactly the same thing, Rebecca. Yeah, and it's more the fact that the spirit is almost kind of entering your body, kind of like in a trance state. There is another explanation, slightly off topic again, but it's what they call sleep paralysis. Do you know this feeling whereby you're falling off a cliff and you wake up with a jump? Yeah, everything shook when I jumped. Or, you know, you're asleep and all of a sudden you wake up with a jump. There is another theory to that, which I do subscribe to, is that our soul or our spirit goes travelling when we're sleeping. It's called astral travelling. Okay, so our spirit can go travelling, so you may feel exhausted when you wake up because your spirit has been travelling all night. But sometimes our physical body will wake up before our spirit re-enters our body. So therefore, all of a sudden, whoosh, the spirit's called back, so it falls into the body, and then we wake up like that. But sometimes the body will wake up a second or two before the spirit enters the body, and it's like sleep paralysis. That's what sleep paralysis is. So you're lying there and you're looking around, but you know, you can't breathe, you can't move, whatever, and it's because your spirit hasn't re-entered your body after the astral travel. So there's another thing, and I can't say which you were feeling, Stephen, but it is another theory. Jackie and Brennan Loftus Hall. Oh, they're doing paranormal investigation nights this year. Oh, I'd love to go to paranormal investigation where I'm not the investigator. I want to do that. I want to just see and just kind of be a witness. Jackie, will we do that together? I'd love that. Antoinette O'Connor, hi Sandy, just wondering, what if you can't feel someone around you, but when in bed talking out loud and feel a cold wind across your face, would that be that person? Absolutely could be. Why not? They want to join in the conversation. They want to let you know they hear you talking about them. Just make sure there's not a window open or the breeze isn't coming from somewhere else. And that's not belittling your question at all. But, you know, we have to be realistic about what we're feeling. If you were feeling the breeze anyway, you know, then that's not them. But absolutely, if you feel something shocking, a sudden drop or change in temperature, and you've been talking about them, they're trying to say, I'm here, I hear you. And it's when you're talking about somebody, And I keep saying, it's like if you imagine you and your loved one like walkie-talkies. So you're talking about them or thinking about them. So you're sending out this radio signal that hits them. They're connected to you because they're your loved ones. So you're sending out that radio signal that connects with them, and all of a sudden they're in the spirit. We're like, oh, she's thinking about me. And all of a sudden they're there and they want to let you know that they know. Okay? So absolutely, that's them letting you know. Laura Churchyard, I've been very stressed and worried about something close to my heart the last few months. Will it pass? Okay, so this isn't about personal readings, Laura. I'm sorry, I'm not rushing past, but it has been an hour and 20 minutes, and I know people are getting bored of listening to me. Kathy McCann, need to be more careful about the harm living can do. Absolutely. Keep seeing 1111. Yeah, we talked about that. I'm not going to answer that now because it's a completely separate topic. Little girl was on the stairs and screams top right hand corner, just like to think it's not an evil spirit. So what can I do? It may just be a spirit. Kids are very connected, you know. Just check out the room. Is there a shadow? Is there something that's bothering her? Ask her. And, you know, if kids are telling you that they're seeing something, it's bound to be someone connected. So pull out the old photo albums and ask them, do they recognize anybody as, you know, the people in the photo albums, what they're seeing, you know, and invariably it is. Can your dead dog hear you? Yeah. Is there anybody online that was at Wexford last week? We had a connection from a dog during the show. Do I believe a tragic death followed down generations? If any, is my grandmother, my mother, myself, all widowed young? No, because you're connected to your grandmother and your mother, but all your husbands weren't connected, I hope. So that connection surely would be with the person that died. I'm not saying, you know, I mean, that's kind of a little bit beyond my remit, I suppose. But would I believe that it's fated for you all? I don't know. I don't see why somebody would do that for yourselves, or do that to you. But if it was to follow through the family, I believe that it would follow through the male, you know, if it's all the men that are dying, that if, you know, that would be the connection. Say, if you were talking about your grandmother dying young and then your mother dying young and you've been ill and thinking that you're going to pass, well, then you'd say, well, maybe there's something to it. But three completely unconnected men, I'm not sure, but I don't know for sure. Stephen Hunter, God bless you. Hazel, I don't know who Hazel. Oh, can my dead dog hear me? Stephen, absolutely, their animals can hear. Why do you think that they can't? I was in Wexford. I don't know what part of the country you're in, Stephen. I was in Wexford a couple of weeks ago. We did a show and we got a message from a dog. So absolutely, your animals can connect. Can a spirit protect you from an evil living person? As in be a bodyguard? You know, we expect that just because our loved ones pass over that they become prophets and they become, you know, I don't know, the be all and end all. They're not mini gods, okay? Can they warn us about things? Can they try and steer us away from things by putting ideas in our head? Absolutely, okay? They're going to try and look after you? Yes, of course. If you call that protection, then yes, the answer to your question is yes. But they will try and warn you if they see something wrong, okay? When my husband was dying, someone came to take him at 1 p.m, but he refused to go and they died at 4 p.m. My daughter was 17 months old and he was dying. He went telling her to be good girl. My parents are looking after her. She went in hysterics at the time. My dad believes you cry out to your nearest and dearest. Yeah, I've heard several things. What they used to say, the old people used to say, is that the spirit goes around saying goodbye to everybody. And yeah, I have several different experiences of that as well. So absolutely, yeah, I agree with you. Lord, no probs. Loftus Hall, you're on. Yes! 2016 is the 660th year. Oh my god, brilliant. And the paranormal night cost 66. Check out the website. Oh my god, Vocal Limited show last week about mediums and spirits to visit Loftus Hall. It freaked her out. Well, we're definitely going, Jackie. That is a date. Okay, so anybody else, I want to look on the website and see what dates the paranormal investigations are on. And I'd love to go, Jackie, and just see kind of, because I have a few things booked over the summer. So, and we'll see what we can do. Recognised we had all the pictures flying off the wall, banging in the night. This was in 3 different houses I lived in. I'm not kidding you. Traumatised for years. Okay, it's going on for years. My sister said to me, she thought maybe I should go to get help to allow myself to be open to talk with spirits. She thought I might be in touch. Spirits etc. was too afraid to let it happen. Still not sure though. I got a vibe off that shadow thing and it felt bad. Okay, well if you got a feeling that it was bad, then maybe there was something not right about it. I also had voices in my son's room when he was a baby. No one around or outside to explain it. I kid you not. Spirits are often around kids. You're just hearing them, okay? I ran to my garden and waited for my partner to come back. I looked like a mad woman. You don't sound like one at all. I believe you. I absolutely believe that all these things happen, okay? Was there particular pictures? Was there a particular topic in the pictures? Why do you think that a spirit would knock the pictures off the wall, okay? I don't doubt that it happened. You're telling me that it happened. I believe you 110%. I want to know, what were the pictures of? Were they of particular people? All these kind of things. So there's more that we need to know that that's a bad person. It comes through time and time and time and time again. You know, when we've got babies, especially if they're bad sleepers, you know, sometimes loved ones come to visit them, or even their spirit guides, to try and calm them down and play with them and soothe them and all the rest of it. And it comes through in readings time and time again. So I wouldn't worry about the voices around your child, okay? It just means that their spirit people are there. But the only thing that bothers me there is the pictures flying off the walls. Okay, so what would make the pictures fly off the walls? That's what I don't understand. We need to know, like, were the particular pictures of a particular person? You know, were the pictures of angels or whatever? I've only got 4 minutes left, so okay. Do you have to be gifted to use the Ouija board? No, and I'm not gifted either. Everybody can do what I do, Sabrina, but no, there doesn't have to be a gift to use the Ouija board. Okay, so listen, I'm going to go now, and thanks to those that have stayed with me for the hour and 25 minutes. I'm so sorry it was so long. I never intended it to be. But thanks for listening in and to listen to my opinions, because it is just my opinions and I'm not scientific at all. So I understand that people don't agree with me, and that's fine. Okay, so they were just pictures, paintings, not a family or anything. It was going on for many years, then just stopped. Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard, not to say it hasn't happened, I've never heard anything like that before. Okay, I'm going to go because I'm absolutely knackered tired, and I have kids on midterm this week, so I'm still going to be up early tomorrow, but I just have a fun day of activities like every other mother in Ireland. Okay, thanks to everybody for tuning in. I hope somebody got something from it. The best thing that you can get from a video like this is something that makes you think a bit more about what's going on around you. Okay, and we'll do it again soon, and I hope that you are getting something from it. Okay, thanks for staying with me. Good night, everybody.